Yeah.
Okay, the time is 6:32, we'll start the work session. Just give me a second to get organized here. Okay, so first we'll review the regular business and public hearing agenda items. We've got invocation, Pastor Robert Thompson, Snowball Middle School Color Guard, ceremonial matters, Arbor Day, awards by stat. Minutes, we're gonna ask to postpone approval on the minutes till the next meeting.
Because?
Just some adjustments we need to do. No invited guests, couple of reports. So we've got the second reading on RZ 1801, the market property. Anybody have anything you want to talk with anyone or Jason?
I just want to make an adjustment, if it's not already, that most of the variances are for pre-existing conditions, just from a precedent standpoint, so we don't get down the road and somebody say, well, you approved a 10-foot buffer here, as opposed to a 60-foot buffer, when in fact, we're not approving a change, we're approving what's there.
Right.
I just think that should be noted in it, so we don't have to fight it down the road.
Oh, okay.
I was a little bit confused about the traffic pattern we're going to use for, they have a drive-through restaurant or whatever on the end of that property, and I couldn't quite figure out.
Currently, right now they do, or
No,
they're
they're
planning this?
they're planning it, and,
They're gonna come
yeah.
through here and then around. Yeah, Dogwood, they're coming this entrance or through the parking lot. Then they'll be, if they wanna access the drive-through, they'll come through here and they just turn back here. That was the only way to make it work. The engineers said it worked. We had them approve it, our engineer. I mean, it could be a mess if there was like 10 cars there.
Yeah, that's what I mean, that's what
But
I
it
was
should stay
thinking.
out of this way. I'm not real thrilled about it, but
It didn't look too good to me.
that's, I ran it by engineering twice and they signed off on it and said it would work and it met the code, so.
Okay. And as far as the billboard, we just have to approve it, correct? Approve it since it's, I mean, it doesn't need to go to Board of Appeals since it's
This is one of our pre-existing billboards. It's there under a consent order.
okay, I just wondered about that.
And they have a 10-year, there's a lease on it now through 2024.
Okay.
That needs to be a discussion with the billboard company and, to see what's possible there.
Yeah, okay, I just wondered
Yeah.
if it would have to go to the Board of Appeals or whatever, but no. Okay, the other question that I had, that service road behind there that's off of Dogwood,
Yeah.
that belongs to this property?
The portion of it does up into the extent that you see illustrated.
From Dogwood,
To here.
yeah, okay, that's the part that's in such horrible
Yeah, we've got
disrepair.
a condition on there for them to repair that, the right way. You could add it and make it concrete or something, make it a little stronger.
How would you suggest making it stronger?
I mean, concrete would last, but if you put the asphalt down right, the reason it's degrading is because the some base is compacting and dropping, and then you just fill it. and it
Heavy
keeps
trucks
dropping.
through there.
It just needs to be recompacted and reconfigured, and then asphalt would work. It just needs to be really repaired and not patched.
Right, that's the problem. I mean, I take that little cut through pretty often.
We've got that.
And it's
It's in
always
there as
huge
a,
holes
it's
in
in there
there.
as a condition to upgrade and restripe the parking lot.
Yeah, we'll make sure, because you're not the first person And we deal with that pretty much every month or two.
You about
There's a
wreck your
pothole.
car going through there sometimes. Okay. Okay, those
All
were my,
access, yeah, number 7 under
Seven.
conditions, all access drives and parking areas shall be repaired, resealed, and restriped.
yeah, I just didn't want it just the asphalt patched. I just
We'll make
wanted
sure.
to see
We'll get the
more
engineer to
permanent
approve the-
improvement made to that.
Probably
Yeah,
have to take it up and recompact it and lay it back down.
okay. All right, I'm done.
Okay. Anything else on that? New business, we have approval of the intergovernmental agreement with Gwinnett County for the Spross the Park projects. Anybody have any questions on that?
It follows the same pattern as the IGA for our joint transportation projects. It just took a little while to get the county's legal department to submit this, but basically it will, when the two projects are reimbursement for Oak Road and downtown trail system. And so it's, will be $1 million back to the city.
So we'll be able to apply for and get the reimbursement on Oak Road Park
Correct.
right away.
Correct. And then we have until 2022 to reimburse for trail work, greenway.
So then,
trail.
as we start putting in some of the trail in town center, we just have to keep those costs segregated.
Yes, we
so
do.
we know what that
We'll have to
project
bid
is.
that separately, and we're responsible for that. Thank goodness, we don't have to, the county won't be involved in that.
Okay. We have the award the proposal for the 2040 comprehensive plan.
Those were, I think we received 6 total. And we went through, the committee reviewed those and came up with a short list of 3 and allowed them to come and make a presentation, and they were all interviewed. And it was a unanimous decision that Jacobs be awarded the contract at $132,000. That is, that's a mandated planning issue. It will make a big difference for the community. We have a lot of updating to do. And I had to recuse myself from the interview stage. I had worked for one of the companies that made it to the short list, but Jacobs had a lot of positives. Everything's coming in-house, and they've done local work. I think they're finishing up Lawrenceville. So there were just, everybody felt very confident in their abilities.
Well, Jim Somerville ran Snellville's in 2008.
He
it
was
said
Jordan
2000
Jones and
Yeah.
Building.
Mhm.
So a lot of local knowledge, and so that's a unanimous recommendation from the review committee.
They did a good job, I thought, in 2008. I thought they did a good job capturing, what the citizens were requesting. We also got a lot of citizen engagement during that process, so. We used those yellow rezoning signs. We're gonna do that again too.
We kind of focused on using some more modern citizen engagement this time, so we're actually gonna go to the people and not ask them in every time. It's more like, maybe they show up at the farmer's market, maybe Snuggle Days to actually engage, our target audience more than just, the people you're gonna get to your open house and your visioning workshops.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And there's going to be quite a bit of transportation work done, so I think we'll get a lot out of it.
That model that was up here for a while in front, was that them?
No,
No.
that was from the visioning session we did just for Town Center in 2010.
Clark Patterson. Yeah.
Jacobs had a really, really good presentation. And they covered all the bases really well.
Okay. Then we have a first reading on the soil erosion and sedimentation control.
It's just a
That's
model
what it is.
ordinance, you could read it tonight for nighttime material. It's just something that they require us to do every so often to keep our local issuing authority. And, they just did the model ordinance about a year ago, we just adopted it.
Does this, create any more hardship for us as far as expense and managing anything? Any
No,
real
it's
changes
pretty
there,
much
just
the
kind
way
of
it's
little
been operating, and they just
update?
codified it, yeah.
When you say codified, because I read through it, is it different from the current one?
A little bit, but just
What's-
in the nomenclature and stuff, it just uses, I mean, I can't remember the last time we did it. Not since I've been here, so it's been 15 years, so it just introduced some more modern terms and BMPs and basically policies that are reflective of the Georgia EPD's policies as well. So there's nothing more
Can you-
that we
can
have to
you-
do
yeah.
that we haven't done before.
Can you email me the original?
Yeah, I'll send you, I've got a
That's what I
markup,
said,
I've
what
got a
they
markup, I'll
changed
send
it.
you a markup.
Okay.
The city engineer went through it and changed it all. It'll be easier.
We definitely want to maintain our permitting authority.
Because if you don't stay up to date on these changes, then we lose our status.
Well, that's how
and
they
our
force them
authorities.
to do, I guess, yeah.
Then we have 2 nominations for the planning commission, Johan Beringer and then Tony Parker. So that'll fill us back up on the planning commission. So then we'll be just lacking 1 person on Board of Appeals.
And if they're here and you have time between me, we can get them sworn in too.
Okay,
I got the forms. So you wouldn't get that.
okay. All right, that's it for the regular meeting. Did I have any other questions on that? And we got our work session. Any correspondence?
Correspondence.
City attorney's report?
I need an executive session on both litigation matters and land acquisition.
Ongoing projects?
We, you can see, you got a couple of pages, so we added several items, the best I could discern from our discussion at our planning retreat. So, starting with, at the top, once more, the town center progress. We do have a couple of executive session items there. I'm looking forward to the time where we don't have to go into executive session to discuss the town center, where everything's out, and hopefully it's moving closer. Market library progress, we had a pre-bid meeting with over 30 people in attendance. Probably 15 or 16 firms were here. The bids are due on February 21. We fielded probably 30 or 40 questions, responded to those the next day, and we've reconfirmed the professional services contract with everybody. So I think everybody's pretty good. We have one more question that Tony will have to weigh in on, but I think we'll have some really good proposals for our market building. Town hall meetings, meeting with GDOT and Pittman tomorrow morning, where we're gonna talk about this as well as a few other items there. You can see that they're still doing a lot of utility work, a lot of stormwater work out there. Roy, it's, traffic is, I saw them cleaning, I think they're out of there before 4, but still, it's a little, gets a little tight after 2 o'clock, moving towards 4. We'll continue to push them on that. The UDO, I guess the most important thing there is, now that, I would assume that we will have a comp plan vendor, and we'll need to coordinate those schedules. It might behoove us to maybe slow down on the UDO work until the comp plan gets moving, so there'll be good coordination between TSW and Jacobs. We'll bring those suggestions back to you after we follow through on the comp plan. Roundabout construction, I think these are a couple of executive session items there, but hopefully, I think we have a clear path forward on both of those. 78-124, as I said, we've got a meeting tomorrow. They are, Pittman is kind of gearing up, I think, for really working, putting more folks here in March. And so that kind of puts an importance, a little added importance on having a public meeting where they can answer questions. Business retention and attraction, ongoing there, not really an update at this point in time. The 2017 SPLOS program, you have the recreation IGA on tonight's agenda. Higher education outreach, I felt like we had a good discussion at the retreat regarding that, and that will be ongoing, and we'll report back to everybody. The US 78 sidewalk, a contractor that we have not used before, but they're doing a great job out there. You can see them
Moving on down.
moving.
Yeah.
Couple of traffic issues there too, but they take direction well, and they've made some changes. So have had no complaints from any of the adjacent property owners. Comp plan progress. Once again, the bid is on the agenda tonight, and I think everybody will be pleased with the Jacobs team. That's one of the new ones we put on there. Part of the other conversations, senior center utilization was an item. I've met with Lisa and Kathy about that. We're ready to meet with some council reps to kind of work out a plan before we meet with the senior advisory folks. So if you want to designate somebody or take volunteers, that'd be great.
Anyone want to volunteer?
I'll be glad to, since I go to aerobics at the senior center. I'm
Then
probably
I think
the
you should
only,
recuse yourself.
oh, really? Well, okay. I'm probably the only one on the council that uses it.
All right, so we got Gretchen. Anyone else? I'll try to, once you get some meetings scheduled, let me know and I'll see if
Okay.
I can sit in.
Same here. We
Yeah.
can-
We all need to check up on Gretchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure she's being
The,
fair, balanced.
I also felt like a big part of that discussion was ordinance development. And I put some, the first few down here, finalized the package sales, the free speech questions that we had, and I've started working on the COOP update. So feel free to email me, let's add to that, but that's something that we'll keep going. SDS negotiations, I think Barbara might have a short update, but it will begin in earnest later in the year, but I think some of the cities are going to work on some things preliminarily. And then long-term planning, we talked about in the areas that I think we're going to work on: financial, human resources, Snellville days, traffic transit programs and projects. And I'm including a lot of that discussion in the FY19 budget that I'm putting together with the department heads now. So I think that gives us a lot to talk about. If there's something else you think I've missed, let me know and we can add to it. But I think those will be good updates.
What do we have to do with the COOP? I thought we were just a matter of signing up.
We
with
just need to
Sister City.
finalize our intra-city agreements for facility use in case of a disaster.
And then probably, is that set out by department? Maybe just send it around to the department heads and let them read through it and make sure there's no other updates that we need to
Oh, yeah,
do to it.
can do that.
Maybe send it out to mayor and council too. I don't know where my version of that might be.
That's the challenge, isn't it?
Probably buried in one of the 8,000 emails in my email account. Any other questions on the,
Separate question. It's
Yes.
for Chief. Chief, I emailed you about a video, and you never responded about the video. Then I met with Butch about getting information about that incident with the officer. And then when I met with you, you said you were gonna contact me in 2 days.
Oh,
And nothing ever happened since then.
I
I'm still
got a
waiting.
report from the chief, the investigation is not completed yet.
So
Still
technically,
ongoing.
so I know for the future, the process is, when a constituent has an issue with an officer, the city councilman has to wait for the investigation to be over to receive video footage so they can assess the situation themselves, correct?
You can come to me and I'll work through it with
Is-
the chief. That's
I'm
why
asking
I
about the
wanted to meet
process.
with you and let you know where we were.
Is that the legal process?
Is that the
Videos are not
legal?
releasable till the investigation is complete.
To anybody.
Okay,
And to request it, that's under open records, and it's not releasable until it's complete. And that's why it's not.
do we have a timeline on when that's gonna be complete?
I'm sorry, what?
Do we have a timeline on when that's gonna be complete?
We're getting to the point where we've worked it to the extension, then you can at that point.
Okay,
I can't tell you if that's 2 days or 2 weeks, but yeah, we're getting closer.
okay, because the main reason is because I look at it from the constituent's perspective, and when they contact me, I wanna give them an answer, I wanna be there because they voted for me, they supported the council, that kind of stuff. So for me to get a non-biased view, I really would rather prefer to just look at the video myself. That's the whole reasoning of this thing.
I can tell you that I assume the person who filed the report is the one who contacted you. And he's been included in every
I
part
know
of
he
the
has.
investigation.
Yes. I
And
know
that's
it's-
where, most of the update's gonna come from.
I know. I've spoken with him, but the thing is, I'm not gonna tell you what he says or what other people, because I don't wanna get into that. But there's different perspectives, and they're not gonna tell officers certain things that they would tell somebody else. And that's just, I don't know if it's human nature or what it is, but my concern is the constituent at the end of the day.
And, well, if I felt like he was being ignored or the case was being ignored, then I would address it. But I think we're going through the proper procedure, and I think everybody will be, will have their full say, and all the facts will be out when we complete that.
Okay.
And, I hope you have confidence that I'm gonna make sure that happens in every case. So, as soon as that's completed, we'll go over everything.
Okay.
Anything else? All right.
Read it and weep.
Then, during the work session of the mayor and city council of Snellville, Georgia, Mayor Pro Tem Bender announced that certain matters